The old Buston's building in Uptown St. John has been the epicenter of a lot of activity recently. The restaurant Italian by Night has found a new, spacious home there, and the new vinyl bar, Five and Dime, has become a hotspot. But one new tenant hasn't got quite as much attention. The St. Johns Yuk Yuks is set for its grand opening 2 weeks from now. The comedy club features world-class comedians 3 days a week, and it's a passion project. Stephen Barnes, its owner, joins us in the studio to talk about it. Good morning.
Good morning.
So why did you want to open a Yuk Yuks in Uptown St. John?
So it's actually a really interesting story. I've always had a passion for comedy, for business, and a love of St. John. But the three never really came together until I found Yuk Yuks. Actually, for the past 7 years, I've been a sailor by trade here in the Bay of Fundy, fishing lobster or on tugboats sailing across Canada. I just happened to be in Toronto visiting and took in a Yuk Yuks show downtown. The experience was amazing. I loved it. I loved it so much that actually that week I called them up and asked them how I could get started with the conversation about bringing it to St. John.
What was it about the experience that you liked so much?
Like I said, I've always just been a comedy fan, a stand-up fan. Growing up with Just for Laughs and different comedy festivals, or just taking in comedy shows when they tour St. John here. So it's just always something that I guess I've always enjoyed so much that that when I found this, it almost seemed like this was the right thing to do, I guess.
So when you pick up the phone and you call Yuk Yuks and you say, hey, I'm a guy in St. John, New Brunswick, and I'd like to start a franchise in St. John, what was their reaction?
Well, first it was explaining where St. John is, and then recognizing that this would be the smallest market that a Yuk Yuks has ever been in. So it was definitely interesting, and they were excited just as much as I was about the possibility of bringing it here.
You obviously, though, you have to start making a pitch as to why you think this would work here.
Well, of course. So it is a franchise, anyways. So. In order to bring it here, we needed investments and funding.
Yeah.
So as I got all the information on what it needed on my end to bring the Yuk Yuks here, then we got the ball rolling on how we actually going to do this now. So how we started was actually bringing in a series of one-off shows down at the Trading Convention Center here uptown. And they were overwhelmingly supportive of what I was trying to do, and we sold out, 7 shows,
wow.
400 plus people on Wednesday nights. No exposure, no media attention. This is just me banging on doors, letting people know what it is I'm trying to do. Come on out and have a laugh, and with overwhelming support, we got everything we needed.
So tell me a bit about the club itself now. When you decided you were going to set up in the Buston's building, what did you kind of imagine the club would look like?
I really couldn't even see myself in the Buston's building, to be honest, at first. It took a few different places. I was looking over on the east side and then realizing that uptown was the place to be. It did take a lot of almost convincing and blue page, looking at for me to really get a grasp on that this building would be the one that we could go with. Putting a lot of value with the other tenants in that building, though, too, with the Italian by Night, which, I mean, that's one of the best restaurants in the city now, and with what Jody Clifford and Brian Irving are doing with the Five and Dime bar, too. I feel it's a good cluster of businesses that really complement one another in that building. You
may be able to feed off their success a little bit for sure.
Well, and we all can really.
Yeah.
So you can the whole building is tied together where you can have your Italian by Night meal, stay inside, walk downstairs, take in a comedy show, and then walk over to the vinyl bar and have a nightcap there.
And how many people are you able to seat in it?
This is actually a really large venue. We've got almost 4,000 square feet, which is good for 200 to 225 people.
Wow.
So it's actually one of the largest clubs in the country.
And you're planning how many nights? Is 3 nights a week?
So it'd be 3 nights a week, every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 52 weeks a year. Plus special shows as well, too, such as New Year's Eve, Valentine's Day, different shows like that we'll do
kind of stuff.
Throughout the year, yeah.
Now, for the 3 nights a week, would it be the same comedians each night, or would you kind of mix them up a bit, or do you know yet?
Right, so we'll do it 3 nights a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You'll see the same 3 comedians.
Right.
We'll have an MC, a middle act, and then a headliner. Those will be your comedians for this week. Next week, you'll see 3 new comedians.
What kind of comedians perform at Yuk Yuks?
So this is actually some of the best comedians in the country perform for Yuk Yuks. 90% of them, 90+%, are actually Canadian as well too. But this is a nationally recognized stage that Jerry D, Howie Mandel, Russell Peters all got their start on in comedy on. So it's going to be really interesting to see who the next Russell Peters and Jerry D, Howie Mandel are. We will see them, and they'll be on our stage, and then we'll see them later on when they're hosting their own HBO special.
What's going to happen at the grand opening?
The grand opening is going to be a lot of fun. It's not going to be too much of a of a hoopla or anything out of the ordinary. It's going to be a celebration of comedy and really show everyone what Yuk Yuks is, which is consistently 3 of Canada's best comedians, and we're going to have a lot of laughs and a lot of fun that weekend.
And admission is
$17.39 plus your taxes, only $20.
That's good. That's a pretty cheap night out.
It's pretty cheap, It's a really inexpensive, and the comedy is great. So this is great, and it fits in everyone's budget in St. John as well too, which is great.
Why do you think it is? I mean, it does seem that comics seem to do very well in this town. Why do you think it is?
Why St. John? The demographics of St. John just seems to be always supportive. Now I could get down to the business side and why St. John works, why other cities don't. But through the last years, I mean, St. John has just always been so supportive. I know comedians who have toured through St. John would sell at the Imperial Theatre, and then in other cities across New Brunswick would struggle to do half the venue. Jerry D had just passed through Harbour Station here, and almost 2,000 people had seen his show. For the same show in St. John's, Newfoundland, in a city with 3 times the population of St. John, they were struggling to get half of what we had gotten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's funny.
It is.
And so this will be a full service club, though. This will have a full bar and the whole thing, and you're hoping to have food and that as well.
Yeah.
Right?
So we're gonna have a catered menu from Port City Royal, who is our neighbor just in the same street as us. We're gonna have a fully licensed bar, a great stage with amazing audio equipment. So the opportunity to grow from Yuk Yuks to the what else is now the question. So we can do live entertainment, business meetings during the day, wedding receptions, we've been asked about too. So it's really interesting to see what the community wants to use this Yuk Yuks for.
How have sales been for the opening weekend so far?
All things considered, with the New Year, with the Christmas, things have been outstanding for sales. We're almost 60% sold out now for the first weekend, and for a show that is being booked a month in advance.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, people just aren't planning for shows a month from now, but we're getting the numbers coming in. So this will definitely be a sold-out weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I would definitely recommend getting tickets early.
Well, listen, thanks so much for coming in and talking to us about it, and good luck with it.
Well, thanks very much. Yeah, this was fun.
Stephen Barnes is the owner and founder of Yuk Yuks St. John. The grand opening takes place Thursday, January 19th, 8 p.m. Tickets are $20 and can be bought online. And as we just heard, the first comics to take the stage at the new Yuk Yuks in St. John will be James Mullinger and this comedian, a guy named John Sheehan. Here's a bit from his 2013 appearance at the Halifax Comedy Fest.
I am from Newfoundland, where things are getting back to normal now. We're broke again. Danny Williams came along and gave us wealth. Sure, we didn't know what to do with that. We were frightened to death. It was confusion, utter confusion. There was artists applying for money and getting it. Then they couldn't be artists anymore because they were happy. Luckily things are getting back to normal now. We're broke, the weather is shit, and everybody hates the premier. It's good, it's good. It's good. That's the other thing, the weather. Last summer, it was strange, because, I knew that there was a sun, but I didn't know it had heat. Right? And we had a really good summer, which threw us for a loop, right? We had to deal with things in Newfoundland that we never had to deal with before, like sunburns. There was Newfoundlanders going to the emergency room going, look at my arm, it's right red, look. What happened there? The what? The sun, yeah, whatever.
As Newfoundland comedian John Sheehan from the 2013 Halifax Comedy Fest. You can see him at Yuk Yuks in St. John, January 26th through 28th.